This is Chief RocK again. And yeah, sorry about the lighting. The lighting kind of sucks right now, but whatever. We can deal with that at another time. But at this moment, I wanted to maybe address or at least bring up some questions that I have for a lot of the people who are in this movement of Idle No More. I do for sure support everybody in gathering and coming together united as a nation and coming together and, singing together, bringing about a good positive change amongst our people. However, Idle No More obviously is saying that a lot of people were idle, and now we're no longer going to be sitting by idly no more while they go ahead and start implementing different laws and different acts and legislations. And the one question I do have for a lot of the people, if in fact we are a nation, we are some people of another nation, a separate nation, separate from Canada. I mean, so many of our people think we are Canadians when in fact we're a citizen of the nation we're from. Like me, I am somebody of the Six Nations, or the Haudenosaunee, or the Cayuga Nation, or the Gayakono. That's who I'm, a citizen of. I'm not a citizen of Canada, although I do have a person that I use in Canada. And there's a very clear distinction and very clear difference between having a person you use in Canada and being that person. We can get into more of that later on, but right now, my question to a lot of the people in Idle No More is, why do you rely upon another system? Why do you rely another law form? So many of them are fighting to stop a bill from being passed, and stopping this bill or fighting for this bill. For those who don't know, a lot of things in our society are things that are done in society are backwards. For instance, I mentioned, are you buying life insurance or are you buying death insurance? Is it health insurance or is it for sickness insurance? So just something as simple as that shows you a lot of things that are in society is in fact backwards. Like even an Indian status card, is it an Indian status card or is it a card to take away your status? And so yeah, so many people are fighting for the C45 or whatever other bill that we're fighting for, but when in fact standing and fighting for Canadian laws appears that you wish to be subject to their laws. And from my understanding, people of Turtle Island, or all the different nations of Turtle Island, when you fight for a law, you're recognizing their law, and you're therefore reaffirming that their laws are the laws of the land, the supreme laws of the land. So so why not follow and live by your own nation's laws and government? Because if you are in fact attempting to be dependent on their laws and consenting to them fully by the conduct of your actions of fighting and showing that we're fighting Harper and we're fighting the acts and statutes of Canadian law, well, it appears that you want to be subject to that law by your conduct. And so much of this Canadian law is set up in a voluntary system, meaning you volunteer your rights away. Nobody had a gun to anyone's head when he went for a driver's license. Nobody had a gun to the head when they went for an Indian status card, although a lot of our older elders probably did have a gun to their head when they were forced to take a status card. But no one's fighting anybody from going and getting a benefit from these cards, or going and getting a benefit from being under the Indian Act, or at least agreeing to be an Indian. I mean, of all things, I'm Onkoi. I'm of the Haudenosaunee. I'm not an Indian. I've never been an Indian. However, if I wanted to go and get something medically done, or I wanted to go and had my teeth cleaned, or whatever it is I wanted, then sure, I'll play an Indian for that time. But then when I'm done playing an Indian, I put it back and I don't use it no more. And that's where I think a lot of our people are actually missing out. We're not aware, or we're not Yeah, we're just not aware of these contracts these invisible contracts that are binding us to be an Indian or play an Indian. Most of us don't know how to take it off. We don't know how to separate ourselves from the position or from the status. But nothing is stopping you from your nation issuing its own identification, your nation issuing its own laws and different things, and then we abide by these laws, and we have identification showing that we're citizens of this nation, of that nation, or whatever nation you're from. Or you want to be under the two-row wampum belt or under the silver chain of peace agreement. You know, these are open-ended treaties. I wasn't alive when these treaties were signed, and I'm sure 99% of the people out there now weren't alive either. So these are open-ended unilateral contracts, meaning you can agree to them by your conduct. Your conduct shows your agreement to these treaties. Or at least questioning the government whether they are wanting to break these treaties, because really when you think about it, Canada wasn't even existed. Canada wasn't even a thought to be, you know, they may have defaulted and somehow been the receivers or being the beneficiary of the treaty that the king and queens of England made, or the British or the Dutch or whoever we made treaties with. But in fact, Canada is just a corporation. So how can they even agree to you know, give you your treaty rights? You yourself have to acknowledge your own treaty rights by your conduct. And standing there holding Canadian identification, trying to claim a treaty right, does that make any sense? When Canada wasn't even there signing any treaties. So why are we going to them trying to affirm our treaty rights? At least these are some of the questions I have in my mind. And I'm not here to discredit or take away from any idle no more movements, but I'd like to at least give you guys some questions in order to ponder. Whose laws are we following? Why are we subjugating ourselves to a foreign law that's foreign from our nation when we have the full inherent right to follow any laws that our nation or our people wish to follow? We don't have to follow Canadian law. I know a lot of people want to protect the lands, and they want to stop these acts and stuff from going through in order to stop them from, you know, damaging certain waters and damaging certain lands and drilling in oil and all that. But you have the full right to protect that. And if I'm looking at it correctly, if I've read some of the acts that they're trying to pass, they're actually helping you establish that, helping you. The government's actually trying to help you being able to contract more freely with these corporations who want to do business on your land. So in fact, if they are trying to do business on a certain area of land you have some high interest in, and us being the original caretakers of these lands, then what's stopping us from sending out a contract? You know, saying you have a particular interest in this land, and I noticed that Enbridge or Walmart or whoever is trying to do some business on this land, and I don't care what the Canadian government's given them or what titles they have. That doesn't matter to me. They're on our lands. And if they want to continue to do work on our lands, well, then it's going to cost them X amount of money per day that they want to do business on that land. And them continuing to do business on that land will be the full binding agreement to this contract, a security agreement. And there's so many ways and so many places we could take that. But you know, you need to actually learn the system and learn this contract admiralty law that a majority of 99% of us have been living in and living by. Anyway, that's all I really have to say. My main question, of course, is why are we relying on another form of law, another foreign law? Like our nation has laws and governments within itself. We should be fighting, and we should be, you know, idling no more to fight for those laws and live under those laws and not be subject to anything Canadian. And if anything, we should be having contracts and making new treaties for any corporation who want to do any business on any area of North America, and you're going to pay, you know, out you're going to pay out the, you know, the rear for doing this sort of work on our lands. So that's one thing I like to at least put it out there, that we as original people of these lands, we have the highest claim. There's nobody from these corporations that are called Canada or the United States or the Homeland Security that can come and put a higher claim than we can on the table. They have a system set up for us to do so, and they can't deny our claims. So I would definitely recommend getting into a contract book, learning about how to write up a contract and what implements a contract, or what an express or an implied contract is, because there's so many invisible contracts that we're not even aware of, that a lot of the Canadian system is running under, the U.S. system is running under, and unless we know what money is, or what the fact that a majority of these corporations are running insolvent, we just got to be very aware, and be very aware of the laws that we're recognizing and acknowledging. So, going back to my original question, that's mainly what I'd like to address, and all honor and respect to everybody who's involved in this I Don't Know More movement. I'd really like to put out there that we have to have true education. There's no room to be ignorant no more. We cannot be ignorant no more. If we're going to implement any real substantive change in these lands, we got to do it with true education and real study and research on the history and how things even got to be where they are. There is a post I do have, I'll put under this video, that goes to my SoundCloud posting, where I go into a little bit more of explaining a lot of this. I didn't really want to do a video because my video on YouTube only has so much time to where I can post about 15 minutes or something, and my talk I do is about an hour. You can download it on SoundCloud as well. So I hope everybody who listens to this don't think I'm against anything having to do with I Don't Know More. I'm very much for it. However, I just would like to say that if we're gonna move forward in this I Don't Know More movement, let's move forward with real knowledge and real research and real information. I mean, there's one thing to say a few words and get the crowd hype and pumping their fist and banging their drums, but it's another to show them a path of knowledge that can actually help us protect any lands that we wish that we want to protect. And that's all I'm here to do. I'm here to show you and help you understand a way to protect our lands and do it lawfully. All right, well, I'm out. You can support the music, www.chiefrockmusic.com. And I hope everyone has a great new year, and I'm out of here. Got my new microphone. Well, it's not really super new, but it's actually pretty good for these videos. The audio comes out a lot better than the one I was using for my webcam. So. All right.